Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things you missed in House of the Dragon, Episode 10.
Queen Alicent has not forgotten the love you once had for each other. No blood need be spilled. The realm can carry on in peace.
For this list, we're looking at subtle details like references and Easter eggs that may have gone over your head during your watch of the first season finale, The Black Queen. If you're not caught up, beware of major spoilers. Are you looking forward to Season 2? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Who's that dragon? Of course, fans aren't liable to miss the ginormous dragon that pops up towards the end of the episode, but non-book readers might be wondering how to refer to it. To recap, while Jace and Luke set out to gather allies, Daemon goes into the bowels of Dragonstone and serenades a big old beastie. This is widely being reported as Vermithor, the former steed of King Jaehaerys, and currently the second largest dragon behind Vhagar. Now, the scene seems to imply an understanding between Daemon and the dragon, but seeing as the former is already bonded to Caraxes, it's unclear who will be riding this monstrosity, if anyone. Clearly, the Blacks already seem to have more dragons at their disposal than riders.
Your sons have Virmax, Arax, and Tyraxes. Baela has Moondancer.
Daemon, none of our dragons have been to war.
There are also unclaimed dragons. Seasmoke still resides on Driftmark. Vermithor and Silverwing dwell on the Dragon Mound. Still riderless.
Number 9. Dragon Bond. It's often been said that Targaryens have more than an emotional bond with their dragons, and this episode gives a clear representation of that. As Rhaenyra strains under the pressure of a premature birth, her dragon Syrax roars elsewhere, clearly feeling the same kind of pain. Interestingly enough, this isn't actually the first instance of a dragon reacting to the experience of its rider on House of the Dragon. Back in Episode 3, Daemon scorches the Triarchy forces in a resounding display of force. He's at one point hit with a flaming arrow, but it's his dragon Caraxes who cries out in pain. The lore goes even deeper than a psychic connection, however, which we'll be getting into a little later. Number 8. Criston's battle technique. Sir Criston Cole doesn't appear in this episode, but his presence can certainly be felt.
I have to do better than that.
At one point, Jace and Luke can be seen sparring on a nearby beach. More than just being older and larger, Jace is also ruthless and unforgiving, beating up on his brother and pushing him to the ground.
What was that?
I'm sorry.
You might go easier on him, my prince.
This kind of take-no-prisoners fighting style is reminiscent of the lesson Sir Criston teaches the young boys back in Episode 6. Despite there again being a size advantage, Criston deliberately pairs Jace with Aegon, encouraging the latter to show no mercy to his adversary.
Use your feet! Don't let him get up. Stay on the attack!
It seems Jace was the one who absorbed this, and we're willing to bet he wishes he had been kinder to his brother in one of their last interactions. Number 7. Dragon Illusion. Though he was often criticized by those around him, it's safe to say that Viserys was one of the wisest kings Westeros ever had, especially when it came to understanding limitations.
The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion. They are a power man should never have trifled with.
In the first episode, Viserys rejects the well-held idea that the Targaryens control the dragons, calling it a, quote, illusion. While we're well aware of their ferocity, it's in this episode that we really see their independent nature. The rivalry between Lucerys and Aemond reaches a boiling point at Storm's End, and it would seem that their enmity for one another, particularly Aemond's, has been imprinted on their dragons.
They are Rhaegar! No!
Vhagar ignores her fourth dragon rider and instead asserts her dominance by wiping out the opposition. Number 6, a familiar meeting place. It's fair to say there's no love lost between Daemon Targaryen and Otto Hightower, they having a heated confrontation on the bridge leading up to Dragonstone in this episode. Funnily enough, the scene parallels one they had in the same location just 8 episodes prior. Still, while there are many familiar beats, oh how things have changed as Rhaenyra arrives on Dragonback to instead back her uncle husband.
Let's end this mummer's farce. Sir Eric, bring me Lord Hightower so I may take the pleasure myself.
As if we needed any more similarities, Daemon even utters the phrase mummer's farce, words that were also used by Otto in their previous confrontation.
Where is the king? I don't see him.
His Grace would never lower himself to entertain such a mummer's farce.
Perhaps we shouldn't be surprised though, seeing as both episodes were written by Ryan Condal. We see what you did there. Number 5, Closer to Gods. Suffice it to say, there were a lot of line callbacks in this episode, and we're not even done still.
Princess Rhaenys, might we hope for news of Lord Corlys's recovery?
Viserys is dead.
With the revelation that Viserys has passed and the Greens have claimed the Iron Throne in the name of Aegon, Rhaenyra has to rally the troops and see which houses will stay true to her cause.
I'll prepare the ravens, Your Grace.
We should bear those messages. Dragons can fly faster than ravens, and they're more convincing. Send us.
Her sons Jace and Luke volunteer to be messengers. We don't need to remind you how that goes, but Rhaenyra reminds them before they depart to be sensitive to the gods of the Seven Kingdoms, despite Targaryens being close to gods themselves.
It's been said that as Targaryens, we are closer to gods than to men. The Iron Throne puts us a touch closer, perhaps.
These same words were spoken by a younger Rhaenyra in the series premiere.
Everyone says Targaryens are closer to gods than to men, but they say that because of our dragons. Without them, we're just like everyone else.
It's good she hasn't forgotten her sense of humility. Number 4, Dragons Slaying Dragons.
It's no easy thing for a man to be a dragon slayer. But dragons can kill dragons, and have.
We figured heavily that a show called House of the Dragon would feature more than a few dragon-on-dragon fatalities, but surprisingly enough, we hadn't actually seen it on screen prior to this episode. Even when the Ice Dragon Viserion fights his brothers Drogon and Rhaegal in the last season of Game of Thrones, it's the destruction of the Night King that ultimately does him in. Still, Daemon bringing up the prospect here sure made us fretful of its foreshadowing implications. Sure enough, when Luke travels to Storm's End to get Baratheon support, he and his dragon Arax are challenged by Aemond and the massive Vhagar. Against her rider's wishes, Vhagar resoundingly ends the smaller dragon, and its rider to boot. Number 3, Die Screaming. Not only is this quote not the last callback we'll mention, it's not even our last Daenerys Targaryen callback.
Do you recall who King Viserys named as his heir before his death?
Princess Rhaenyra.
While Rhaenyra is performing the most uncomfortable unassisted birth of all time, Daemon prompts a couple of Kingsguard members to re-swear their allegiance to the Black Queen, or side with the Greens and be granted a painless death. However, should they do the former only to become turncoat later, Daemon has a much less ideal option.
But if you choose treachery, if you swear fealty now only to later turn your cloaks, know that you will die screaming.
Though ambiguous, it would seem the die screaming threat is a popular one among the Targaryen line, as it's something Daenerys says, also in a Season 1 finale, at the beginning of her conquest.
I am the dragon's daughter, and I swear to you that those who would harm you will die screaming.
It's yet to be seen if Daemon's knights will fulfill this promise, but many of Daenerys' enemies sure did. Number 2. Half-Dragon Baby. With apologies to Luke and his violent death, the most shocking moment may come when Rhaenyra gives birth to a stillborn fetus.
Keep your head about you, princess. Come.
We've done this 5 times before.
We obviously can't show it here, as its bloodied visage is shocking to even the least discerning viewers. However, one subtle detail is its scaly skin. The book's description makes it even more apparent, describing it as having, quote, a stubby scaled tail.
Anha vos zavek. Anha koi zarvosi.
Now, it's often been said that Targaryens have the blood of the dragon in them. While that's often taken as a metaphor, it's been proven true more often than not. This is likely a result of old Valyrian blood magic, but this seems to be the first time that characteristic is manifesting itself physically on screen.
Princess, let us help you.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Kingdom of Ash and Bone. Though they're different in their own right, Rhaenyra and Daenerys Targaryen were going to be compared to each other no matter what, and this callback will only further that likeness.
The simple truth is this: we have more dragons than Aegon.
Viserys spoke often of the Valyrian history as I know them well. When dragons flew to war, everything burned. I do not wish to rule over a kingdom of ash and bone.
When Daemon suggests leaning into their dragon advantage in dealing with the Greens, Rhaenyra shrewdly rejects this notion, aware of the fiery devastation that campaign would have on Westeros.
If Viserys had 3 dragons and an army at his back, he'd have invaded King's Landing already.
Conquering Westeros would be easy for you, but you're not here to be Queen of the Ashes.
Her use of the ash motif harkens back to something Tyrion says and Dany echoes during the latter's conquest in Season 7 of Thrones.
I am not here to be Queen of the Ashes.
That's very nice to hear.
Despite Dany's best intentions, that is exactly what she becomes when she sacks King's Landing. Let's just hope Rhaenyra can resist the temptation of abusing that kind of power.
You freed your brother. You committed treason.
I freed my brother. And you slaughtered a city.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.